is a little fun segment. We're only covering 4 generations today. So starting off with the baby boomers. Those are the folks born from 44 to 64. And so every generation, I'll talk a little bit about like what defines them as a generation. Those are the folks who are post-World War II babies. So a lot of them, men and women coming home from the war, who served for us. Those children are the product of them.
Yeah.
Also Cold War happened during this time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they remember that. They were
big part of my life, my history, sure.
You were around for that.
Some bells for you?
Oh, sure.
And then also the hippies.
Yeah.
So Rusty, what are your thoughts on tie-dye?
So to be clear, I was never a hippie. I was a self-described yuppie.
Okay.
At the right time. I never really did tie dye, so that was not really my thing. It was funny you talking about World War II. I watched a little documentary the other night about toys, and the toy when I was 6 to get was a GI Joe.
Oh, of course.
And up to the early 60s, the top shows, for families and kids were cowboys and Indians and military movies, overwhelmingly World War II movies.
That is interesting.
All the way up to the 60s. So
GI Joes were that popular at that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was the time for GI Joe. Absolutely, yeah.
Huh.
But the whole World War II, influence absolutely carried into the 60s, into the early 60s at a minimum, yeah.
And that, is like how relative to the end of that era of that generation, right there in the mid 60s is kind of when it caps, and we move into our next generation, which is Gen X. So these are often known as the forgotten folks, the forgotten generation, or the lost generations.
The double income, no kids sort of situation became a part of the parents, and then they moved into parents of the Gen Xers. So yeah, that was the whole idea of 2 parents both working outside the home was relatively new thing. It became more the norm than not the norm during your generation, for sure.
So someone was staying home, with the kids in the boomer era. So Gen Xers are not only the latchkey kids or the lost kids, but this generation kind of also marks the beginning of the modern technology era. So we're seeing some computers and some other gadgets that weren't around before, not quite where we are now, but the blueprints for what has become technology today.
Absolutely.
And then in addition to just the start of modern society with technology, with kind of the new way of living with 2 parents in the workforce, or 2 people in the workforce, kids coming home, and a little more modern, a little less old-fashioned. Those are from 65 to 79. Millennials are from 80 to 94. Bad news, folks. This is also a really big generation as well. So boomers and millennials are kind of the really large in terms of quantity and like years, or like that range.
Is that kind of why the Gen Xers feel kind of lost in between those 2 giant?
And then just so many pivotal things happened in the years of the boomers and the years of the millennials. So with the millennials, we have the age, like the coming of the internet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that changed everything. Gen Zers are from 95 to 2015, so right in that era there. They didn't have the BlackBerry. Their parents sure did, or maybe some of those millennials who are just getting into the workforce and stuff had one. So this generation, Generation Z, is shaped by social media, reality TV, vlogging.